back in the day with, was it Dance For Me? This is not erotic interlude, get in mind, I move. I mean, people talked about that back in the day, but she's not extending the conversation. She's not enlightening me. So I'm not sure if other people on the panel love her, feel like, some people feel like Nicki Minaj is re-envisioning what it means to be a woman in hip-hop, and that she's a breakthrough artist.
That's hip-hop. I mean, I'm a 70s baby. I'm sorry, I have to say this. And I'm a fashion designer, and I like her image, I like everything. But Nicki Minaj does not represent hip-hop for me at all. And I'm a hardcore 70s baby. Missy Elliott, Lucy, like, Paris, the list.
What is the audience here? Just
the list goes on. I don't see her as hip-hop. It's a lot like what you were saying. Everything is international now. It's marketing. And it's just like, no offense, you can't be mad at people for working what they work. But for me, she does not represent hip hop. I'm sorry, she just doesn't. So that's why it doesn't agitate me, because she does not represent hip hop for me. There's all these other women out there doing amazing things. Like those of you, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Nika. Nika is amazing. I'm just like, so I'm more focused on that. It's like, I like Nicki Minaj for what she is, because I am a fashion designer. I have that quirky, crazy side of me, but that's why I love Missy Elliott so much, because she mixes that feminine.
And I'm with you, but the world, not even the world, I can say BET awarded her best hip-hop artist. She gets a Grammy for best hip-hop artist. So she's seeing, I know we don't agree with it, but it's what she's seeing and how she resonates in the culture.
But it goes back to what you're saying, we have to support. We have to support. If we were supporting the independent, she wouldn't be getting all that stuff. We as a community, we have to support.
We're also, not to play ourselves, we're also older than the constituency. So I have to also be open-minded and say, hey, I might not be into her, you might not be, but there are legions of teenagers who love her. And that kind of scares me a little bit, because I'm like, okay, this is who you love. When I was growing up, it was, Latifah, and to come 180 degrees from Latifah to Nicki Minaj, it says something obviously about the culture, but I also have to say, what does it say about us and how we're talking about what it means to be a rapper, what it means to be in hip-hop nowadays. And hip-hop is more than just rhyming. It's also, there were women that would breakdance, and there were women that I know that were, graffiti artists. Right, exactly. So I guess in terms of looking at the future, I would just, in saying all of that, I would love for each of you to talk about, where do you see it going? How would you like to see it going? Do you think Lauryn Hill's going to come back with another record? And just put it out there, like I think about Lil' Kim too. God, I look at what she looks like now, and I can see she does not like herself.
That's painful.
Right, it's very painful, right.
Like, I don't even recognize her anymore.
So I'm putting out all of that. And there's Jean Grey, who I love, who's killing it. Like, if you ever hear her playing in New York, go check her out. She's been around I interviewed her at least 10 years ago, so I know she's been around for a while. So there are artists on Young Underground. If you know of any, please bring them up now. I'm just curious to hear where you think where we're going within the genre.
I think I believe it's going to come full circle. Everything has its time. And I believe it's going to come full circle. And like everybody stated, there's plenty of women in the independent circuit that are, amazing.
What do you rhyme about? Honestly, I haven't heard your rhyme yet. I'm going to listen to it when I get home.
Okay,
What do you rhyme about?
I pretty much rhyme a lot about, what I've gone through, what I've been through as a woman in this industry, coming up as a female in this industry, and coming up as a female just being from Brooklyn, East New York, and the things that I've seen, the trials that I've been through, and, relationships, friendships, things like that. I try my best to connect with the audience. Of course, I have fun songs as well that, it's just something that, like the Google Me song, that pretty much is just, I just came out of a situation. I was part of a male-female hip-hop duo, and as of now, like I said, a lot of people is getting to know the name and getting to know the brand, and a lot of people is not aware of what I do or what I've done. So, it's just pretty much just basically telling people to Google me at the end of the day. So if you want to know, there it goes. But I do believe that it's going to come full circle, and this is just for a short period of time. Like you said, this is what the kids are loving right now. Nicki Minaj is a model for the kids. Like we had Latifah and MC Light, you know, salt and pepper for the most part. But there's amazing females like Flawless the Rap Chick, you know, Abyss the Business, you know, John Gray. There's plenty of females on the independent circuit that everybody could look up. And if you want food for thought or anything, you know, they got it. They got it. We are out there. We are out there. And the great thing is the independent world is making a turn. You know, so I think the underdogs are definitely going to come on top. So.
You said the perfect word, brand. So that's what it is about right now. I mean, the average 15-year-old probably doesn't even know who Wu-Tang Clan is. So, wow. you know, so it's just the time when Bad Boy was hot. We had backpack rappers. It's always going to be the independent and the mainstream. And it is going to come full circle. Everything's going to have its time. I can't think of the artist right now, but there's a record on the radio with it's a female artist, a rapper, but her track is dance music. Because we're in this, right, there's a dance era going on right now. So and you know, when hip hop came out, we took over the rock that was going on. So everything is just going to come back around, and it's just going to be better, you know. New York has to come back. Like, it has to. The Giants won, our Knicks are doing better. New York has to come back. And then we'll leave the South alone for a minute. And the thing about it is the support. Because I signed artists that were from Memphis, Flint, Michigan, Houston, Texas. And the reason I signed them were because when I went to those areas, they were selling 100,000 records just there. Wow. Little Flip sold 100,000 records in Texas alone. 3-6 Mafia was selling millions. I saw $1 million checks even before they got to deal with us. So it was the people that was there that was supporting them. And that's the one thing that I find on the East Coast that we don't do. And of course the internet is going to make it worse because people are just going to go to the internet to sell and buy or whatever, and it's going to make it harder. But I have, you know, one thing that no matter if all the companies go, music's always going to be here. You know, we've had music from just drums and whenever, before I was even born, so music is never going to go. It's just going to keep reinventing itself.
I believe, just like everybody else said, that, you know, hip-hop is going to come back full circle. We need to have a more, I wish there was a more level of consciousness in music. You know, I turn on the radio sometimes and I, you know, like every 15 to 20 minutes, I really feel like, you know, just like pulling out my shoelaces and hanging myself because of the repetition. And it's, you know, it's like dumbing down the music. There needs to be a level of consciousness, you know, and I really wish that we had it, but it's coming back. We have a lot of artists that, you know, that are not being played on the radio, but you gotta dig for it. I dig for music every day. And I'm like, wow, you know, there's so much great music out here, but you need to look for it. You know, you can't rely on radio.
I mean, I think you just touched on what I wanted to talk about, which was pretty much that we are in the DIY generation, and I already see the change happening. I don't think it's coming. I think it's happening right now, and it's in our hands. Like terrestrial radio, half of us don't even listen to it. Well, maybe you do, I don't know, but most of the people I know listen to music online, or on podcasts, or on iTunes in some way, shape, or form. Those stations are playing the artists that are more conscious, that are more independent, that have something to say. The radio, the record labels, the big business from the 90s, that is on its way out. It is obvious that it's on its way out. And the artists who are actually creating their own individual movements are coming up all over the world, from La Mala in Colombia to Nola Darling in LA. So when they do come out, when they do perform, whether it's at CMJ or Coachella or just at the Arc in Brooklyn, go. Spend the $10. That's all it takes to keep this part of the culture alive. But if we don't, then we're going to see another era of the big business come right back up. That's my 2 cents.
I have 2 topics, and it's so different. I only have 5 minutes. I'm just going to put the first one out there. I don't know if we have anything to say about this, but if we do, we'll go into it. If not, we can move on. Do you have any opinion whatsoever on the influx, popularity of white female rappers. All right, next.
Well, I'll say
As long as the music's good, I don't care.
as long as the music's good and they don't use the N-word.
Okay, that's what my beef was with Krayshawn. All right, the last question, because we only have 5 minutes, and I really want us to talk about this because I've worked for Zomba Publishing and Sony Music and at Mercury. And the thing in the record industry with women versus men, if we're on opposing sides, is that you don't really hear about the collaborative spirit, the sisterhood spirit between women in the business. Particularly when you're dealing with hip hop, they will try to pit you against each other. I've definitely been on a floor in Sony, second day working there, and the sister rolled up to me, you know, if you want to mess with him, you're gonna have to F with me, and you don't want none of this. And I was like, wow, great, nice to be here. But I had to search out mentors and find women that are supportive, and you don't really hear about it. I mean, Drew Dixon is still to this day is one of my closest friends, and we worked together for like 2 years. And I just want people to talk about, you know, because it's necessary. We have to. Guys, they might not even like each other, but when it comes down to business, the brothers will support each other, they'll lift each other up, and I want to talk more about how we can work together and collaborate, and if you can put any of your past experiences out there. I see you frowning, wait, just about, you know, ways in which we can do more to help each other out.
Actually, that's one of the reasons why I started Femex.com about 8 years ago. So that women can have a space and a place, you know, to come to, and we can be, you know, sisters and support each other on our projects, whether we're DJs or MCs, or if you're entertainment lawyers or whatever. But I do have to say, within like, I guess the last 10 years, I've run across a lot of sisters who have been, you know, very supportive. So it's just important, even if you run into a sister who may have a, you know, like a bad day, you know, I guess to encourage them with positivity, you know, to kind of change the space up a little bit. But I just feel it's important that we do encourage one another and work with one another and just, you know, just be open and loving and caring, even though sometimes that may be hard because, you know, the way we treat others, it can kind of, you know, rub off on them in a sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm open to work with everybody. Holla at your favorite hutchie.
I don't think it's a color thing at all, by far. I think it's more gender-based. I had a job opportunity at a particular company, and the person I was interviewing with was a woman, and when she called around to verify my credentials, people told her, you don't want to hire her because she's going to take your job.
Oh.
Yeah. And because it's such a small world, I found out. But that was the reason. And I think it's just the fear of, like, instead of thinking it's a teamwork issue, it's the fear of that person's job. And as it gets smaller, everybody's probably in that frame of mind. So that's, you know, I think it's just a gender thing.
I just think women need to celebrate each other. It's really that simple. Like, I mean, I think you were mentioning it earlier, like having the support of mentors. Like Dream Hampton took me under her wing early. I was like, oh my God, I respect you so much. You're my favorite influencer ever. And she would like respond to my emails whenever she had time. And other people like Edwidge, who's outside of hip hop, who's outside of hip hop, who would support me writing. You know, I think as long as we celebrate each other along the way, it should be all good.
I think we just have a mentality that we don't see the whole pie. We see one slice, and we feel like we all have to go for that one slice, and so that's where we end up battling. I see it in every. Yeah, I see it in every medium. Like I see it in all forms of media. Like with women, no doubt. I would probably have to agree with you, but I think it particularly affects us as Black women because our numbers are so low in these mediums. Like even in media, like. Why is Essence, like, why can't there be more than one, right? So, I mean, it's just about the idea of collaborative spirit. You know, why don't we rhyming more together? Like, I loved when Moni Love and Queen Latifah got on the mic together. When Lauryn Hill brought Mary J. Blige on together, like, what do we need to do in order to facilitate those types of engagements? I mean, I think this discussion, and I'm so glad Mocada is having this discussion, I think it's a start, but I think we all just need to look to each other for more collaborative efforts.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think we need to open up within ourselves as well. You know, I can say on a personal note, as when I was younger, I was always like bullied for the most part. You know, being a light-skinned girl on the block with the long hair, I was always bullied, and that hardened me till I was like in, you know, later on in life to where I didn't want to deal with no girls. You know, I didn't want to be friends with nobody. I don't care what you're doing. I don't want to be a part of that. You know, whatever. I'm doing my own thing. You know, until I had to open myself up and be like, you know what, that was just what happened then. Not everybody is like that. So, you know, that was just an experience that kind of hardened me up a little bit. But at the end of the day, we have to open up ourselves and, you know, and realize, you know, in helping somebody else, we helping ourselves. You know, we're growing as well, so.
Everyone just needs a hug.
I think on that note, I'm going to open up the floor to Q&A questions. Do we have to pass around the mic?
Ladies, I want to thank you for coming out and much success to you. I am Nubia. I rap, I did radio, I did TV in Atlanta. I've done some groundbreaking of hip hop in Atlanta. I noticed that when I was trying to quote unquote unite with the brothers, they pretty much ran over me. You know what I'm saying? My question to you is, if you wanted hip hop to come back rather than what you have now, and a female artist was to come out, what would be your marketing strategy to bring her out so that she can represent hip hop and be successful?
Can I say something, please? No, go ahead. I don't need the mic. I'm just so over the whole.
They can't hear back.
Oh, my bad. I'm glad you asked that question, but at the same time, I'm kind of over the whole idea of a marketing strategy. You know what I mean? Because to me, what's hip hop is essentially being yourself and emitting a certain essence. You know what I mean? So it's like, once you start getting into that, yeah, I know Nicki Minaj just got a $1.5 million deal from Pepsi. Sure. Like, sure, you can package yourself and you can market yourself in that way, but what is that really doing to the culture at the end of the day? And that is the kind of mindset that I'm focused on. To me, and I think all these women here are focused on changing. You know what I mean? Like, so if we keep thinking about the packaging, the marketing of it, we're gonna lose hip hop.
What would you do in your...
I would be myself and come out like me.
No, I mean,
that's what I would do.
What would you do in your position to get this new hip hop person coming out that's representing the culture, female? What would you do in your capacity, in your power as a journalist person from Source to make us successful? This is hip hop.
And that's exactly what I'm doing in my position. As editorial director at MTV World, my job is to find emerging music all over the world, regardless of what it is, make sure it's dope, and introduce it to people. So I'm looking for talent all the time. That's why I took the job, because I wanted to see more hip hop, because I wanted to see more drum and bass, more grime, more stuff that we're doing, regardless of where we are. You know what I mean? So, but when it's authentic, that's when it resonates. You know what I mean? When it's a package, eventually it's like, oh, that's not real. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how I see it. But I'm a
I just want to comment on what she was saying. I'd be more interested in what you have to say as opposed to what you look like.
Right.
It really doesn't matter what you have to say.
But we are a different generation too. I should add that.
Yeah.
But as these kids grow up, they're gonna want the authentic.
Authentic, sooner or later.
That's what I
We do have a, I'm sorry, we do have a, you said it resonates to a certain generation, but we do have a, shout out to Bad Seed, but he started a whole adult contemporary hip hop thing because there's still adults who listen to hip hop. So there's still a audience, you know, for people like me and, you know, people like John Gray. There's still an audience for us, you know, us females out there.
And just,
Did she answer since she has like a...
yeah, and I would just say to use collaboration, like you should look up, exchange business cards. You know, Jean Grey's on tour now to Mocada, who's in Afro-punk movement. So they're exchanging and sharing audiences, and the key is collaboration. Reach out to somebody, even if they're not in hip hop directly, purely hip hop form. There's always a way to find synergy, and that's the key to everything. We have limited time, so I'm going to ask for more questions, if you don't mind. We can talk to her later. In the back, third row.
Hey, what's up? I'm Adam. I'm up MC. I have a comment and a question. I'll try to keep it brief. I just wanted to comment that I think that stating that we always talk about who's a good rapper, who's not. Well, there's underground. I'm from Bumble Nowhere, Virginia, right? Okay, so I think that it's kind of a slight to hip hop to not identify what's going on the radio for what it is, which is cultural genocide. And that's not just black, that's hip hop. You know what I mean? Because the 5-year-old who's in Wisconsin in the sticks is not gonna go on undergroundhiphop.com to see what the latest mixtape is that's dropping. You know what I'm saying? And to that point, you know, I have one of my friends who's a good producer of mine. He has 3 million hits on YouTube. He has award-winning videos. He has this, and when they call him, they go, "But can you make a dance record? But can you? I know that you got a following, but can you do what I want you to do?" And because he's not willing to compromise that, he hasn't been signed. So I think that it's inaccurate to say, well, they're not up there because no one's buying them. They're not up there because that's not what they want us to buy. You know what I'm saying? But to the comment, one of the things that I wanted to say, you know, we put Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill is like the goddess of the fly girl, and like Salt Pepper is the grandmother and Missy's the cousin. You know. But one of the things, I'm a 90s baby, so I do apologize. But one of the things that I want to say, we talked about diversity. You know, even though I love Miseducation has broken 5 times. I think Yo Nana is a good album. The Notorious K.I.M. is a nice piece. Trina, I know the verse you don't know then. It was completely inappropriate, but I do know. You know, and I think that I think that when they came through, they ushered in what the men want. You know what I mean? Like, I think they said, "Oh, Eureka, let's just put this out." And I don't think that they get the Lil Kims, the Foxies, these women. I don't think they get. Trina apparently had a breakdown on stage last week. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel as though their contribution to hip hop is downsized, or do you feel as though they do not need a contribution because they were too risque when they came out and thus not relevant? Thank you.
Say the last part again. Do we feel that their contribution?
Do you feel like the Lil Kims, the Trinas, the Fox, the grandmothers of the raw of hip hop? Do you feel as though because of their message, they're not seen as valid to the story of hip hop, or do you feel as though they're not valid as women in hip hop? Because no one ever gives Foxy Brown a shout out.
I think they are valid. I think they do get their props. Whenever you see or read anything about hip hop culture, you always read about those women. I think they definitely get their credit. I think because, like I said, if anything though, they were, you know, Lil Kim was, she wasn't popular because of Biggie, but she got her break because of Biggie. But I feel like she proved herself. Same thing for Foxy Brown. Same thing for Trina. I feel like they're definitely getting their props. I mean, you might not hear about it now so much because, are you trying to say that?
But like, here's okay. So say let's take Big Daddy Kane, or let's take any forefathers of hip hop. If a youngin right now would come and go at Big Daddy Kane, or go at Q-Tip, or go at somebody who's like, shut up, that's a legend. Why is it everyone who comes out can attack Lil Kim, can attack Foxy Brown, and no one says, shut up, it's a legend. You're quiet. You know what I mean? No one says that. It's like, oh, you know, Nicki Minaj being, who the hell is Nicki Minaj? Lil Kim is a legend in the game.
Well, that goes to the point of sexism. Like, that's straight up sexism. Like, that's really what the root of it is. Like I said, it goes back to what I first mentioned about, you know, women